Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We're going to talk to you guys about the recent case in Nigeria, Benin City, with the student Uwa, who was raped and killed brutally some days ago. So we're just going to talk about that, how the church is in dire need of a conversation around this and actually needs to start changing things drastically. If you're new to the channel, then you don't know, make sure you do me and do yourself a favor, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. But those of you returnees, you got the minerals, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Alright, cool. So this is one of the biggest topics. I've covered this with the Dokulo case, but actually I haven't brought out the video. I'm just doing another edit just to freshen it up a little bit so that you guys can see it appropriately. So I'll do that video for you guys. But I wanted to say this straight away, which is the case with Uwa. I was going to break down. So she was a 22-year-old girl. Was a microbiology student. You know, she was studying in the church, RCCG, because she really wanted. I think the library that she had was I think it was closed or whatever. So she had to study in the church. Okay. Now I want you to understand something. The church is meant to be this place of a safe haven. It's meant to be the place where we can come and worship God. We're not thinking about rape and killing, right? But I believe this happening has showed us that there is a great need for conversation and a great need for teaching and training of rape culture and dealing with consent, because Africa, and not just Africa, men in general around the world have got a problem with consent. And I love this comment that was made by, men know what consent is when a gay man begins to touch their bum. I'm just going to be real with you. Yeah, if there was a gay guy touching their bum, they would absolutely understand consent. Right? But when it comes to a woman, there's almost a sense of entitlement that has been bred into them, a privilege that's been bred into them that makes them think that a woman's body is at their whimsical and they have sovereignty over it. Now, many people will say many people say to themselves, this doesn't apply to them, they're not a rapist, they don't rape anything. It's because they think of rape as an aggressive act. They think of rape as somebody just going in, grabbing someone from the bushes and then raping them. But the truth of the matter is, rape comes in all different sizes and forms. What I mean?
So you mentioned obviously a word consent within that particular definition as well. Could you also give us a little breakdown of what consent is? I think this is really key.
So consent is agreeing to something by choice and having the capacity and the freedom to make that choice. So, there's three aspects to this. You have to make a choice, and you have to have the capacity and have to have the freedom to be able to make that choice. And so, for example, you wouldn't have the capacity to make that choice if you were drunk or drugged. If you were you don't have to make choices. If you're under the age of 16, you don't have capacity to make those choices. You have to have the capacity to make the choices. Also, you have to have the freedom to make those choices, which means that really and truly, if I have you pinned on the wall, you don't have the freedom to say no.
Okay.
If your no has a consequence attached to it, you don't have the freedom to say it.
So that point again. So you're saying that
if your no has a consequence attached to it, it's not consent. If you say yes, because you didn't have a choice but to say yes, there was no. And so. In a lot of cases, we see that people actually did say yes, but they didn't have the freedom to say no.
Okay.
That's how capacity and freedom work. And for example, in my kind of work, we see a lot of women in sex work, for example. Let's say it's December, January, it's really cold, minus 15 degrees, let's say, and somebody comes and says, you know what, I will pay for a night in a hotel, I'll pay for you to have a hot shower, I'll pay for a coffee for you to shower. You haven't showered, you're a woman, you're on your period, there's a lot going on, yeah, and you have a nice, bed for the night. As much as some of us may have the freedom to say no, a lot of people don't. And I think that's where we need to start understanding people's situation and circumstances a bit better. That everyone's circumstances are a little different. So most of the time, those are the two areas we would be considering. Did the person make the choice? And if so, did they have the freedom and capacity to make the choice?
Okay, so if I'm getting it clearly, you're saying, so for instance, example, someone who may potentially be on the street, someone says, obviously, I'll give you a bed for the night or 2 nights, whatever, invites them in, and then obviously then obviously procludes a certain movement towards sexual behavior, but the person doesn't necessarily have a choice because they've been offered a bed almost in the seems like in exchange for this particular act.
Yeah.
Okay.
By that is, a husband can rape a wife. Yeah, a boyfriend can rape a girlfriend. You know,
He said, you know what? I'm actually agreeing and consenting to vaginal sex.
Okay.
And the person they're having sex with then decides to penetrate them anally without them, that would be rape.
Okay. Say that again because I don't want anyone to miss that. That's very, very key. Say that thing again. So
the person consenting is only consenting to that act that they're consenting to. So it's not buy one get two free deal.
Okay.
You know, with consent, you don't get I said yes to the kissing and therefore everything else is a yes. No, you get a yes to the kissing. And so if I consented to vaginal sex and you decide to penetrate me anally and I have not consented to that and I decide that that's actually not what I want, then you don't, get out, you don't remove your penis from my
wow.
Then you have raped me.
Wow.
It's really important for us to understand, that consent is not something that you do once and never do it again. It's something that you actively seek every single time that you are being intimate with somebody. And so what we see often is somebody saying, I said yes to them last week though. That didn't give the person the right to do that today. And I think there's a funny video, if you have...
Things don't need to be aggressive, throwing someone at the bush. It is a simple case of consent, okay? And I can just break down consent real quickly for you guys. Agreeing and having capacity and freedom to make a choice. And so, literally, it's agreeing, yeah? Do you want to have sex? No. Okay, stop, yeah? And the person should have capacity to say no or yes. So the person is drunk, they don't have the capacity. If the person is drunk, they don't have the capacity. Do you understand? Sexual consent is an agreement to participate in a sexual activity, right? But you must be able to give that. So we call it F.R.I.E.S, right? It means freely given. So you're not under coercion, yeah? When men, and listen, when men do this whole, come on, let's do it, and they continue badgering you, yeah? This is a form of coercion. When you said no and they keep on badgering you over and over and over again, yeah, it's a form of coercion, ladies, yeah? Man, them, it's a form of coercion. I know some of you have got girls to give it up by coercing them. It's rape. Sorry, it's reversible, so it can be taken back. So if you say yes now, you can say no later. I mean, you can say no even during sex. If you said yes before your sex, just because you said yes before you had sex and you get into sex and you don't want it no more, you can say no. And if the person continues, it is rape. Okay? I is informed. You can only agree to what you know. So in the sense of, for instance, we call things like ghosting, yeah, where a man will have sex with you, right, and then he'll take off the condom without telling you he took the condom off. This is not informed. The person didn't know. It's rape. Yes, it's rape. You thought that it's sex. No, it's rape. You didn't allow the person to have that that opportunity to say yes or no to the situation. There was a change of activity in the sense of the fact that you took your condom off. It's ghosting. It's rape. Yeah. Enthusiastic just means you showed you only want to do things that you want to do, right? You do things that you want to do. The enthusiasm, you do things that you want to do. You're not doing it because you've been pushed to do it. You're not doing it because you're encouraged to do it, like in coercion. You do it because you want to do it. You feel the need to do it or feel the want to do it. That's when you do it, okay? And the final one's specific. Saying yes to kissing, okay, doesn't mean you said yes to the whole sex. So for instance, let's say you were kissing, right, and the person starts going into sex, that they have no right. Yeah, if you don't want that, and you can say no. You know what I'm saying? If they decide to go on, they have still raped you. Okay? If they decided it was kissing, you were comfortable with that, and then suddenly now he's entering into you and putting his penis into your vagina, that is rape. I know many of you people think to yourself, well, we were kissing, so no, it's rape. I don't care if the person came to your house late at night, it's rape. And why am I dropping this? The reason why I'm dropping this is because a lot of men struggle with this idea of things. They have a sense of entitlement and privilege when it comes to women's bodies. And they think because a woman said yes to one part of things, they can do anything they want up until the point of when they're satisfied. That's not the case. Now, this case obviously has been tried as a murder case, I believe, not as a rape case, but we're seeing that obviously the woman was raped and murdered, right? Right? I think apparently there was 4 men, apparently, or 4 guys, apparently. Okay, so this particular situation means that we have to have a broader conversation around sexual violence, around what sexual consent is, okay, what rape is, okay, what sexual assault is, right, and what sexual harassment is. Because all of these things, right, don't get spoken about in church. The church omits it because it's a difficult conversation to have, and many people are not trained in that area. So what happens is they omit it and say, everyone be a good person. But the truth of the matter is, not everyone's a good person, and we need to be able to put these safeguard things in place by having these, first of all, by having these conversations and then implementing training. You understand? When things go wrong in the Western world, right, they start implementing training. Why is it in our churches? I'm not talking about Africa, I'm talking about in general. In church, we're waiting for something bad to happen before we safeguard. We need to, something has happened, safeguard. Policies in place, training in place. We need to start obviously having conversations with our members, right? And the reason why I get so vexed about modesty is because it's part of the culture when it gets to rape culture. The language and the behaviors that are used to police women is the problem. Not that women shouldn't cover up, or not that women shouldn't dress appropriately, but give the woman a choice. You and I as a male do not get to decide, and never does Auntie Eva get to decide, because she's also perpetuating this rape culture. Or should we say this?
Even in the terms of in a culture of church.
Yeah.
I think that will make more sense even. Let's talk about how we talk to women about modesty.
Ooh.
We talk to, let me just say, we talk to women about modesty, and I'm not saying it's wrong. Yes, we should all be modest. I get you. I get the point. However, when we're teaching women modesty in relation to men and husbands, then I have a problem.
Okay.
But we're teaching women almost like, if you're modest, things won't happen to you. If you're modest, you get married. If you're modest, I'm not modest for that. I'm modest because it glorifies God. Therefore, it's then taught in a way that almost like already shifts the scales.
Mm-hmm.
Church, you'll be walking into church with a singlet on. Does anyone see? Multiple times. You never, like in summer, you'll be wearing a singlet. Most of you wear grey tracksuits. Nobody is shouting. I don't shout. It's my role to keep my eyes to myself.
Culture where women's bodies are at the subject and mercy of men. For you to say, oh, the pastor will be tempted by the woman at the front because she dresses sexily, he's got to have self-control. When he's at work, he doesn't get the same. When he's at work, nobody tells a colleague you're dressing too sexy. So come on, why don't we do that? Why is it that his self-control suddenly has switched from work? Now he's in the church. He hasn't got self-control no more. We are creating a culture that is allowing for men to get away with certain behaviors, but these all need to be trained out of us. The case of you is so sad and so annoying, but it's going to continue happening until we start addressing this issue. It's serious. We need to address the men. And these little minute things that are happening are contributing to the greater picture of things happening. Right? Yeah? So it's time that we start having a conversation around the issue about churches need to start being able to have training, and start teaching people to notice the signs of what sexual violence looks like, what sexual harassment is, what sexual, assault is, what rape is, what consent is, so that people know. Because see, when we have the law given to us in the Old Testament, it was given so that we can now put ourselves as a mirror against it and say, hey, do you know what? Either I don't meet the standard, so therefore I need a savior. When we bring information is an injection of change. When you don't change without knowledge. Bible says the lack of knowledge, but people perish. Well, things that perish oftentimes are the things that don't grow. So you need to grow, right? You need to mentally be stimulated and begin to have a greater sense of knowledge and understanding and wisdom in this area, so that we know how to what? First of all, address our boys, because there's some locker room talks that man them have, which contribute towards a rape culture. Right? There's a locker room talk that making jokes about rape, making jokes about how you do this to certain. I don't even want to go too deep, but there's a certain locker room talk that we have around women. All right, and I'm not talking about just obviously just there's talk that we have about sex, but we're talking about making jokes about like things like rape and stuff like that. Is not the way to go forward. You know what I'm saying? But these are the things that happen. Certain conversations that I had amongst men, where men make certain statements, or the girl's slightly drunk, and I had that's mad. Like, girl slightly drunk, that's mad. That's mad, bro. Yeah, the girl slightly drunk. That fam, you're a rapist. Oh, the girl was slightly drunk out of her head. You are a rapist. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to start calling stuff out, man. You know what I mean? And I understand that this sin is a problem. Sin is the main problem. We have sin. Sin is a problem, yes. But the problem is also that we're not educating people. So now this is a universal problem, right? This is a heinous crime, which we see in the Bible always leads to death of the individual who did it. Yeah, and so we need to speak up on this. We need to voice our opinions. We need to open our mouths. We need to speak on this subject and not let our sisters be taken as instruments of sex for men. Do you understand? I want to reiterate the point that church is meant to be the safe haven for women, and the case of Uwa has been so sad because men often get away with so much rubbish and there's no accountability, and so it becomes a hub for people who are unaccountable in a sense of, when I say accountability, I'm not talking about having a spiritual head. I'm not talking about having a spiritual father, no. I'm talking about the fact that other men don't hold you accountable to your actions.
Yes, people won't come forward until we create a safe space for them. Like it's by allowing survivors to be part of the process when it comes to safeguarding policies and what it's going to look like. And allowing them to have a voice, by churches really preaching that word and teaching. It doesn't have to be Sundays. It can be Bible studies. It can be anything. You can book an extra session a month to talk about this. Bring people in to do workshops, on sexual violence, on consent. Show people that you actively care. Because I really believe that there's a lot of pastors that are silent, and actually silence is complicity. If you are complicit in that behavior,
and what you say, and correcting you and saying this is a heinous behavior, this is horrid behavior, this is abhorrent behavior, this is evil behavior, the talk that you're talking is disgusting, it shouldn't be happening. We don't do that as men, but women do it all the time, right? So the problem is that we got a whole sex of men not doing that, and I'm not saying it's everybody, because other men do check other men, don't get twisted. But there's a lot of men that don't do it, and so therefore they're getting away with certain murders. Do you know what I'm saying? This is not to say that's an absolute solution to stop men from raping and killing women. That's what we're saying. But what we are saying is there is an environment that allows them to thrive. Yeah? There's an environment that allows them to thrive. Slut shaming doesn't allow women to thrive, okay? But we congratulate men for sleeping with many, many women. There is a lack of accountability when it comes also to pastors and churches who are also abusing people. And this is not just in African churches. This is even in Roman Catholicism. They have the same problem, right? There are men here taking advantage of their position of power and the lack of restraint, okay? And the lack of other men checking them and saying, hey, this is wrong. What you're doing, I can see is wrong. And it's to stop now. We don't have that. We don't have that. People are scared to, as long as it's not me kind of thing. But we can't accept that no more. Someone's now been killed and raped on church premises. This should have never happened on church premises. You understand? And I guess the only reason why this is getting so much precedence is the fact that she wasn't just raped, she was killed too. If she had been raped, it would have been a question of, did she actually get raped? They would ask her some dumb-ass questions, did you actually get raped? You know what I'm saying? And that's why the church is needing for training. It's in need of it's crying out for people who are experts in this field to come and teach us things so we can learn how to be better, so we can learn to spot these patterns, spot some of these behaviors, because it's small nuances, You understand? Like someone getting too close to you, putting their hand on your waist, putting their hand on your shoulder, breathing in your ear, you know what I'm saying, making sexual jokes when you already told them you're not comfortable. All of this stuff is a part of it. But we're out here getting excited about how to police a woman's body. Your first concern isn't that. Your first concern is self-control. Get that in your head. Anyway, guys, I'm going to say less. Say no more. Make sure you enjoy your day. Make sure you do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. Don't forget to get your merchandise down below in the Miracle Gang and get your soda as well. Where there's shade, there is light. Get the on the website as well and get a hat as well. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. More love, more.